So finally, after a few rough years in the arcade shooter scene, in my opinion, we have got XDefiant, where there is a lot more skill involved in gunfights than there has been in the recent Call of Duties, due to the time to kill being a tad longer in XDefiant. Realistically, the longer a gunfight is, the higher the chances of the better player winning that gunfight. And so because of that, today I wanted to go over some basic tips and tricks that should help you guys win many more gunfights in XDefiant. Now quickly, before we get into it, I'm actually starting an XDefiant top 5 plays series here on the channel. Each season will have giveaways for who you guys vote as first, second and third place, and obviously to start the series I need you guys to submit your clips to be featured here on the channel. So head to the top 5 plays link in the description. That'll be in the description of all videos moving forward. Submit your clips and hopefully you guys can get featured in an upcoming video and even go into the running to win some prizes. Now anyway, getting stuck into the video, the most important element to winning gunfights in my opinion is to do with your positioning in regards to where you are on the map, as well as what cover you have to protect you, and essentially just your overall situational awareness. Now realistically, this does come down to a lot of playtime to learn. Really, you can't just pick up a game and instantly know the map and know everything there is to know about the game. So with more playtime, you guys will just pick this up on your own, but hopefully this video can speed that process up just a little bit. Now when I talk about the positioning in regards to the map, for example, if you're out in the open in the middle of the map in sort of no man's land, that will just increase your chances of dying from multiple directions, which is definitely something you want to avoid in gunfights. There is nothing worse than being in a one-on-one where you think you're going to win and then someone just shoots you in your side or your back. So wherever you can, try and avoid just being out in the open. That alone is going to be a big change that should help you win more gunfights. Now, if you guys take a look at my positioning in this clip to kind of see what I mean, this is an example of how to use your surroundings to your advantage. Now, here I see multiple enemies up on this like top section. And so instead of making myself open to shots from multiple angles, I actually close off the angle on the right there and get the kill on this guy on the left, completely safe from those shots on the right. Now, most people here would probably be as close to the window as they can, so that you can kind of have the best view of your enemy and your surroundings. Generally speaking, when you see someone in a window, they are pretty much putting their freaking head out the window, but you do not want to be doing that. Cutting off enemy angles with your surroundings means you are now in control of that situation. They can't really do a thing to you, but you can still get your kill provided you can see the enemy. Now after I got that kill, I then go to engage with the other person that I saw, but once I see this other guy jump down, I know I'm not guaranteed to kill the enemy up in that top area because he's looking at me. He can easily win that gunfight, but the one who just jumped down is now in the open, so he has become the easier target. Now if I stuck my head out the window again, I would probably be dead because the other guy's already looking at me, but once again I cut off that angle on that other enemy and pick up another kill here, pretty much completely safe from that other enemy. After that, and keep in mind that he can see my bullets coming out of that window, after I've got that kill, I stop shooting. He's probably waiting for me to come back out, and because I know that he's up there expecting me to quickly snap back to him, I instead throw a bit of a spanner in the works and just wait a few seconds. And then when I peek back, as you can see, he is kind of unsure what I'm doing, and as you can see, he's just waltzed out into the open there because he probably didn't expect me to come back after I was gone for a few seconds. So that's just one quick example of what I mean about your positioning in regards to cover. You want to be using the cover to your advantage. You don't just want to sit behind cover and just assume it's going to do the job for you. You do need to navigate around that cover to make it actually safe in those sorts of gunfights. If you use the cover to your advantage in any situation that you can, that'll sort of put the gunfight back on your terms. Now before we go any further, I'm sure you guys know that the weapon grind is insanely slow in XDefiant, and so today's video is brought to you by Mitch Cactus, a website where you can get weapon levels and attachment unlocks done for you, making the most of your time while you're out at work or at school. They have well over 10,000 verified Trustpilot reviews and are by far the most legitimate way of doing this method. All of their packages are completely safe and legitimate. They don't hack or mod accounts or anything like that. They also have 24/7 customer support and even a 100% money back guarantee. Head on over to mitchcactus.com using the link in the description and use the code SAMMY for 5% off for a limited time only. Now another way to win gunfights that you might not normally win is to kind of bait and switch your enemy, essentially just trying to do the opposite of what they are expecting, because in my opinion that right there is what determines most gunfights, essentially what the enemy is expecting to happen versus what actually happens, and luckily most of the time anyway you are going to be in control of that. that. In this clip here, you can see that I pick off a few kills, but there is a third guy here that clearly sees me because he's running right at me and he is shooting at me too, and I obviously need to reload. I run around this rock here, but instead of following through with it, I actually quickly doubled back and come back from where I came from. And as you can see, he's looking at where he expected me to be, not where I actually am. And that is a very easy kill for me, albeit I died right after, but you guys get my point. Now, the reasoning behind this is that I just know exactly what he's going to do from playing shooters for 15 plus years at this point. Like I said, a lot of this stuff just comes from playing for a long time, but hopefully I can pass some of that knowledge on to you guys. I know that he thinks I'm running away because obviously he has shot me, I'm injured. He also probably saw me reloading, so he thinks I'm going to run away, and because of that he gets tunnel vision because there's a kill nearby with his name on it, and therefore he is just choosing the shortest path to run to where he thinks he's going to see me next. And realistically, if he does see me and lands 2 shots, he kills me very easily. Now, because I knew he was going to do that, I know that if I just double back, he's likely not going to be looking at me, and that is exactly what happened. It completely flipped that gunfight on its head. If I did what he thought I was going to do, he would have absolutely got the kill, but I essentially baited and switched him, and the result ended up going the complete opposite way. Now, in reality, I say I knew what he was going to do. You never know, but you can definitely predict the likely decision enemies are going to take, and hey, sometimes you are going to be wrong, and they will maybe predict what you actually did and they will just kill you. If this guy was really switched on, he probably would just hold his angle on the rock and just wait for me to come back. I would then jump back out injured, and that's an easy kill for him. So yeah, you never know this stuff for certain, but players are very, very predictable in 90% of cases, and that is half the reason this sort of strategy is so solid, because realistically, shooters are like a game of chess. The player who predicts what the opponent is going to do and then directly moves to counter that before the other player realizes is likely who is going to win that game of chess. Now, the next tip I have is essentially to do with your movement, which is just as important as the last points that I've made, if not potentially more important, especially in those gunfights where you maybe don't have any cover and it is just you versus an enemy way out in the open. Now, this should be pretty obvious, but do not stand still when you're in a gunfight. This isn't Counter-Strike or Valorant. You want to be staying on the move at all times. If you stand still, you are almost certainly going to die. The best way to do this is essentially just strafing side to side while you're shooting, and this is useful for more reasons than you probably think. Now, firstly, if you're moving, obviously that's a harder target for your enemy, so that one kind of goes without saying. But secondly, it actually kicks in what is called rotational aim assist, where if you guys didn't know, moving with your left stick, even without aiming with your right stick, will engage a small amount of aim assist if you're on controller, and so strafing side to side will actually make your aim slightly more accurate even without improving your actual aim with the right stick. Having that rotational aim assist kick in is going to keep you a lot more accurate, and obviously the longer you stay on target and hit those shots, the more likely you are to win those gunfights. If we then add another layer on top of this too, adding in a crouch or two here and there throughout a gunfight will throw your enemy off even more. The downside is sometimes if they are aimed center mass, this can actually result in you getting headshot. So this can backfire, of course, but most of the time, especially if they are using iron sights, this can kind of cause you to almost drop down below their weapon and you will kind of get lost in their vision. Plus, it is just another movement. Like I said, with the bait and switch, they probably didn't expect you to do this, therefore kind of putting the gunfight in your advantage. Now, a third layer on top of that too, which is mostly just for anyone with a scuff or elite controller, this is a bit harder to do without one because it means you have to take your thumb off the right stick, but this is essentially just jumping around in gunfights too, as this sort of has the same effect as crouching, but is obviously a lot more mobile than just crouching down, so this one is even more effective. Now, I know a lot of you might be annoyed that I'm talking about this because people do tend to hate bunny hopping and stuff like that in shooters. I do get it. It's annoying to me too, but at the end of the day, it is fair game and we're all out here trying to get kills and have fun. So I don't really have an issue with it. If someone kills me bunny hopping around, good on them. Even though it is a little bit annoying, I don't really care about it. That's just how shooters are these days. Adding in all of those elements of movement, the strafing, the crouching, the jumping, and even strafing in midair too, all of those things will go a very long way towards winning plenty more gunfights. Now, the last one here is very, very obvious, but I couldn't make this video without touching on it, and this is simply aiming for headshots whenever you can. It's super obvious, but this is usually the difference between winning and losing a gunfight. If either player gets a headshot in there, they're usually going to win the gunfight. Now, with that being said, don't force it. Going for headshots is obviously kind of high risk, high reward, because obviously if you land the headshot, you're going to deal a lot more damage, but it is also a lot easier to miss shots if you're aiming for the head, and then the enemy will most likely just win the gunfight instead. So try and do this whenever you can, but if you feel like it is getting you killed, then realistically simply play it safe and just aim for the center mass. At the end of the day, that is obviously still a very viable strategy, and that is kind of a safe way to play anyway. So anyway, guys, those are some of the best tips for winning more gunfights and therefore getting more kills in XDefiant. Hopefully that helped you guys out, and if it did and you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for more XDefiant content. On top of that too, like I said, submit your clips for the top 5 play series. I'll be starting that up in a couple of weeks, hopefully. The earlier you get your clips in, essentially the more likely to be shown in the first episode, so be sure to get them in as soon as you can. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you all out there in the arena.